Welcome back to another Pickled Dragon Unscripted, boys and girls of all ages. We got Dracoya over here next to me, as always. A very talented individual who has many opinions on these recent videos that it just seems like there is more and more drama in the RPG world, and I think I may even have said that in a previous video, but it just seems like everything is blowing up all at once. Uh,
It does seem that way.
it does, and I'm out of bullet, so that doesn't help any matter at
No.
all. No scotch, no bourbon, no nothing right now.
So we're gonna have to do this sober, people.
So yes, I'm gonna have to figure something out. I'm gonna have to overcome my fears. But in any case, we know that it's the 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons this year, and WotC is releasing a book where it all started, kind of thing, where it highlights the original rules, OD&D, and the making of and art and whatnot. But of course, they can't release a product celebrating the history without a heaping helping of some good old presentism. And what is presentism but judging people by, today's standards, 50, 100 years ago or whatever. So, in the preface to this new book, they have some choice words, and I think this has been highlighted before. But I think that it is worth looking at the actual preface. I know
Yeah.
because there was an interview recently where the individual who's responsible for putting the book together gave an interview, and he talked about these things, and everyone was like, you know, why do you have to tear down these people from the past? So, you know, the preface basically, and you can see it there. You can pause the video and read it yourself. But it says that the original D&D and chainmail books contain content, a virtual catalog of insensitive and derogatory language that is hurtful to anyone with physical or mental disabilities or happen to be old, fat, non-conventionally attractive, whatever that means, indigenous, black with a capital B, or a woman.
Or a woman, which we'll have another video about that. I got too many opinions to fit it into this one.
Yeah, we are prepping a different video for that.
We'll
But
definitely need alcohol for that one.
yeah, but this is where this next sentence is the one that is the clincher for me. So some people have charitably ascribed this language to authors working from bad assumptions. In other words, it's charitable to say that they were just misinformed or maybe not as thoughtful as they should have been. It's charitable. So what they're arguing there is that the reality is that these were bad people. Gary Gygax and the whole crew, bad people,
Yeah. Just
and
a bunch of bad, discriminating people.
misogynists, all the ists,
Yeah. All
all
the
of them.
ifs.
Just list them off. And the obes, the phobes, all of those, just
All of it.
all of it. They are, uh, you know, just terrible people. But and they say slavery appears in original D&D not as a human tragedy that devastated generations over the centuries, but as a simple commercial transaction. I think that line in the preface is absolutely reprehensible. Uh, it's pretty clear that they are uh, trying with every effort to tear down the old guard, Gary Gygax and the old crew. Because if you look at the body of work as a whole, you can see in the adventures that they wrote, Slave Pits of the Undercity, an early adventure. they considered slavery and evil to be destroyed by heroes, adventurers. You can see right in the tagline there. The first thing you read is it's time to put a stop to the marauders. For years, the coastal towns have been burned and looted by the forces of evil. They spell it out there, evil. They say hundreds of good men and women have been taken by the slavers and never been seen or heard from again. And they're calling on adventurers, heroes, to put an end to this. You could go on through all four adventures. There's an entire adventure arc dedicated to destroying slavery. So that line is absolutely reprehensible. These people, for whatever reason, feel the need to tear down the old, and yeah,
Yeah.
uh, and whereas these guys are clearly looking at everything through an activist's lens, but
Yeah.
um, I it is beyond frustrating to read these words, beyond frustrating.
And I
But
think, Matt, we talked about it. I mean, these guys were in the middle of Wisconsin in a very different time where media was not a thing, Facebook and Instagram, that was not even a dream. Even cell phones weren't even a dream yet. And they're in the middle of Wisconsin. And, think about the demographic in the middle of Wisconsin, even today. Like, it's not the most diverse city in the world.
yeah, there is a movie out that I love. They're making a second part to it because it's a documentary, but it's The Secrets of Blackmore, which takes a look at Dave Arneson, who is really precedes Gary Gygax in that. And Dave Arneson wasn't actually the first role play guy. He's just the first guy that took role playing to a fantasy world. Um,
Mm.
because there were you have to check out Secrets of Blackmore, the video, the documentary, to see the whole thing. But you know, these guys, they didn't have the internet to find players. They went through personal ads in books or in magazines and newspapers to try to track down other war gamers. And so when they say almost exclusively white and middle class men, well, that's who is responding to these classifieds. I
That's what
highly
was
suggest.
around.
Yeah. And yeah, in the 70s in Wisconsin or that area, the Twin Cities area, um, it it's much more likely that's the demographic they were hitting, and it's
Yeah.
not anyone's fault. Well, anyway, of that original crew, like Jim Ward and Gary Gygax and so forth, there is still one old guard still kicking around, and that is Rob Kuntz, who saw this and had a response.
Oof.
And it's long. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he describes WotC as a vile snake, that they believe themselves the saints of truth. He continues to call them disgusting slime. And
My favorite line is these people are the epitome of evil robber barons parading as the good guys. And
exactly.
that's
Robert.
exactly what it is. They are creating, WotC is creating this world, which is not accurate, but they're creating this world where the original creators were all these horrible things, and they're gonna fix D&D and make it more inclusive and better and rescue women. And women didn't ask for this. I'm a woman. I didn't ask for this.
And and they forget, it's Rob Kuntz was essentially mentored by Gary Gygax. When Rob Kuntz was 17 years old, um, he was brought into the fold. He was allowed to dungeon master. He was allowed to play in Gary's games. He was allowed to help, develop games. It's not a small thing. And so, in a real sense, WotC was attacking, dear friends and family of Rob Kuntz. And apparently he says he's going to take a little break from posting, but he warns that they're going to get sick of hearing his name soon enough. So I would look for quite a bit more from Rob Kuntz, and really, I think it's interesting. We live in a society where for the last several years, because of cancel culture or whatever you want to call it, people have been afraid to speak up and speak their mind and say, you know what, I'm not, so they're attacking a friend or they're attacking this colleague, but everyone was always too afraid to say anything. Well,
Right.
it's pretty clear that those days are over. More and more people are stepping up and speaking out against this, and you know the words calling people an ist or a racist, this or that, or a phobe or whatever, those things aren't sticking anymore because the words have been so overused and so pummeled over people's heads that no, the old stigma just isn't sticking anymore because you can't. It's like the boy who cried wolf. You say it over and over again, and pretty soon people stop listening.
Not to mention, it's just flat out not true.
Yeah. I mean,
And the truth always comes out. And, WotC can sit here and create this platform on on this falsehood, but it's not going to make it true. And it's not sticking because it's bullshit.
I'll say. Yeah. You'll say, I'll say, we'll all say. So say
Rob,
we
we are
all.
behind you, man.
So say we all. It's a little Battlestar Galactica. Love it.
Yeah,
And probably came from somewhere else too. But
probably.
that's what we got for today, guys. I hope you comment, like, subscribe. I really would love to hear other people's opinions on this. If you've faced any kind of backlash of any kind because maybe you like to play an older edition. I know that the edition wars are hotter than ever. But
Yeah, comment, like, subscribe. Let us know what your thoughts are. Maybe you know something we don't, in which case I'd love to hear about it. But yeah, until
yeah,
then, until next time, come back and have another round on us.
hopefully we'll have a round by then.
Yeah, sobriety sucks.